Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing amazing today. In this video, we're diving into the latest updates about Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. You don't want to miss this. So make sure to stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The studio lights of Live with Kelly and Mark had always been Kelly Ripa's second home, warm, bright, predictable in a way that comforted her. But on this morning, everything felt different. The lights seemed harsher, the air felt too thin, and the seat beside her, the seat that belonged to Mark Consuelos, sat painfully empty. It wasn't supposed to be empty. He was supposed to walk out with that familiar grin, wave to the audience, toss a playful comment her way, and squeeze her hand under the table like he had for decades. But instead she sat alone, fingers knotted together, heart pounding so loudly she wondered if the microphone could pick it up. The cameras rolled. The applause faded, and Kelly, breathing in a shaky breath, looked directly into the lens. "Good morning," she began softly, her voice trembling at the edges. I have an update about Mark." The audience stilled. Even those watching from home could sense something in her tone, something fragile, something dark. 2 days earlier, Kelly still remembered the moment everything shifted, how quickly an ordinary day unraveled into something unthinkable. Mark had been feeling off for weeks. Nothing dramatic, just fatigue, headaches, a strange heaviness he couldn't quite name. They both chalked it up to travel, early morning schedules, lack of sleep. After all, who in show business didn't feel tired? But that morning he woke up pale, drenched in sweat, breathing like every inhale hurt. "Kel," he whispered, sitting on the edge of the bed, "something's wrong." She had driven him to the hospital in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard her hands ached. They expected a quick check, maybe dehydration, maybe a virus. But as the hours passed and more tests were ordered, the worry grew close. Then came the doctor's face, the expression that told her everything before a single word was spoken. And suddenly, the world tilted. Back in the studio, Kelly blinked rapidly, trying to keep the tears from spilling as she addressed the audience. She had promised Mark she'd stay composed. But composure was a luxury grief rarely allowed. "Mark received some difficult news," she said, pausing to steady herself. "He's been diagnosed with a neurological condition that we weren't expecting." A hush fell over the studio. Kelly pressed her lips together, trying to maintain her host persona, but the weight of the moment cracked through. "He wanted me to tell you personally," she continued, voice barely a whisper. "Because he loves this audience. He loves this show. And he didn't want to disappear without telling you why." Her voice broke on the last word. She lifted a hand to brush away a tear, exhaling shakily. The night of the diagnosis, when the doctor delivered the news, Kelly felt the world narrow into a tunnel of muffled echoes. She heard medical terms she'd never heard before, words she didn't want to learn, phrases that felt like sharp stones thrown against her chest. Mark reached for her hand. "Hey," he whispered gently, even though he was the one hearing a diagnosis that would terrify anyone. "Look at me." She did, and what she saw in his eyes nearly destroyed her. Not fear, not anger, but calm acceptance. "We can handle this," he murmured. "We always have." Kelly shook her head, tears already spilling. "Mark, this isn't like anything we've handled before." "I know." He squeezed her hand. "But I also know you, and us. And we don't go through anything alone." They talked for hours that night, about treatment, about symptoms, about the timeline they didn't want to discuss. But the hardest conversation came just before dawn. "Kel," he said softly, brushing her hair away from her face, "when you go back to the show tomorrow, tell them the truth." "The truth?" she whispered. "That I'm not going to be there for a while, that I need time, and that I'm fighting." Her breath hitched. "I don't want to do the show without you." But he smiled gently. "You're stronger than you think." She rested her forehead against his. "No, I'm strong because of you." The studio audience watches her crack. Kelly inhaled deeply, returning from the memory, facing the audience with a small, trembling smile. "He's at home resting," she said. "He started treatment, and he wants you all to know he's staying positive. He's fighting, and he sends his love." She paused, fingertips brushing the desk as though grounding herself. "But I also want to be honest," she added, voice breaking. "I'm scared. We're scared." The confession startled even her. She wasn't used to being vulnerable on camera. She wasn't used to letting the world witness her unraveling. But today wasn't a typical broadcast. This show is built on laughter and light and connection, she said, wiping another tear. And Mark and I have always believed in bringing our true selves here, so here I am, trying my best, taking it one breath at a time. She swallowed hard, fighting against the emotion clawing up her throat. I don't know how long he'll be away. I don't know exactly what the next few months will look like, but I do know this, he's the strongest person I know, and I believe with my whole heart that he's going to get through this. The audience erupted in gentle applause, supportive, warm, filled with empathy. Kelly pressed her hand to her chest, overwhelmed. "Thank you," she whispered. "We're going to get through this together." Flashback, the hardest moment. That morning at home, before she left for the studio, Kelly had stood beside Mark in the kitchen. The sunlight filtered through the windows, casting soft gold across his face. He looked tired, more tired than she'd ever seen him, but he still managed that signature half-smile. "Come here," he murmured, opening his arms. She stepped into his embrace, burying her face against his chest. "What if I can't do it?" she asked, voice muffled. "You can." He kissed the top of her head. "You're Kelly Ripa, the woman who survives anything." "Not this," she whispered. He pulled back, lifting her chin so she met his gaze. "You can do anything, and I'll be watching. I'll be cheering. And when I'm strong enough, I'll be right beside you again." A tear slid down her cheek, then another, and the more she tried to hold them back, the faster they came. Mark gently wiped them away. "Hey," he said softly, "it's okay to break down. It's okay to feel everything. Just don't lose hope. Promise me that." She nodded, gripping his shirt. "I promise." "I love you," he murmured. Kelly closed her eyes, breathing him in, memorizing the warmth of his embrace. "I love you more," she whispered. Back to the broadcast. As the show continued, Kelly tried to return to normalcy, reading cue cards, transitioning to segments, making light jokes where she could. But her voice wavered, her hands trembled, and her eyes repeatedly glistened with unshed tears. At one point, the crew even paused filming to give her a moment. She leaned forward, elbows on the desk, head bowed. "I thought I could do this without crying," she said with a small, humorless laugh. "Take your time," someone said gently from behind the camera. When filming resumed, she looked into the lens again, determined, steadier this time. "Thank you," she said, "for understanding, for your kindness, and for loving Mark as much as I do." A final message. Toward the end of the episode, Kelly reached for the note card Mark had written for her, something he insisted she read on air. She unfolded it with trembling hands. His handwriting was strong, familiar, comforting. She read aloud, "To everyone watching, thank you for being such an important part of our lives. I'm taking a step back to focus on my health, but I want you to know I'm staying positive, staying hopeful, and staying grateful. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and take care of Kelly for me. Mark." Kelly's voice broke halfway through. She pressed the card to her chest, tears rolling freely now. "He's my heart," she whispered, barely able to speak, "and I'm going to be right there with him, every step of the way." The camera slowly zoomed out as the lights dimmed. And for the first time in her long career, Kelly Ripa didn't try to hide her tears. She let them fall. Because love, real, deep, lifelong love, deserved to be felt completely. Even on live television, especially today.